You know, in the world of sports, every winning streak has to end. But let me tell you, some endings are just way more shocking than others. And tonight, we're breaking down one of those nights, a true massive upset.
So picture this. You've got a team that is just on fire, right? The New York Knicks, riding this incredible 8-game wave of wins, looking like they just can't be stopped. So how does a streak like that come to a dead stop?
Well, the answer is, it wasn't some nail-biter that came down to the final second. Oh no. It didn't end with a whisper. It ended with an absolute, undeniable blowout.
Okay, let's really soak these numbers in for a second. The Knicks, one of the hottest teams in the entire league, didn't just lose to the Pistons. They got completely dismantled, 118-80. That's a stunning 38-point loss.
To really get how this happened, we've got to set the stage, because when you look at it on paper, this should have been a real clash of titans, a tale of two teams that were seemingly on very different paths heading into this game.
So on one side, you have the Knicks sitting pretty at 33-18, and they're carrying all that crazy momentum from their winning streak. And on the other side, the Detroit Pistons, a seriously tough team with an amazing 37-13 record, and they are notoriously hard to beat on their own court. But there was a little bit of a twist. Both teams came into this game missing some really key players. The Knicks were down OG Anunoby, and the Pistons were missing their big man Jalen Brunson. So that just kind of threw another layer of who knows what'll happen into the mix.
So with both teams a little shorthanded, and the Knicks on this historic run, what was it? What was the one thing that tipped the scales so dramatically? It wasn't some superstar going off, and it wasn't a genius coaching move. Nope. The whole thing really boils down to the story of one player who is playing in his very last eligible game.
And that brings us to what I'm calling the Jenkins anomaly. A night where one guy literally had his entire NBA future hanging in the balance.
Okay, so for anyone who might not know, a two-way contract is kind of what it sounds like. It's a deal that lets a player split his time between the main NBA team and their minor league team, the G League. But, and this is a big but, there's a hard cap on how many NBA games they're allowed to play.
And for the Pistons, Daniss Jenkins, this game against the Knicks, was number 42, his last one. If the Pistons wanted to keep him up with the main team, they'd have to sign him to a full NBA deal after this game. I mean, talk about pressure. The stakes for him couldn't have been any higher.
So how did he respond with his back against the wall? He went out there and played the game of his life. 18 points. He dropped 7 of those in a huge third quarter run that just blew the game wide open. For a guy averaging about 8 points a game, this was a massive performance. Okay, so how did one player's incredible night turn into a complete and total blowout? Well, Jenkins was the spark, for sure, but the fire was really fueled by some stats that are just, honestly, they're startling. It really all began with a tale of two completely different stories from behind the three-point line. It was night and day. I mean, just look at this difference in the first half alone. The Pistons, who are usually one of the worst three-point shooting teams in the league, were just unconscious. They were hitting almost 56% of their threes. Meanwhile, the Knicks, who'd been on this hot streak, ice cold, just over 26%. And you know, that cold shooting just got worse and worse, because it was compounded by a really rough night for the Knicks leader and star player, Jalen Brunson. He ended the entire game with only 12 points. For him, that's incredibly low. And this number right here, this just shows you how much he was struggling to find any kind of rhythm. He only made 4 of his 20 shots from the floor, just couldn't get anything to fall. And from three-point range? Oh, for 8. You just can't win when your star player is having a night like this. It completely torpedoed the Knicks' entire offense. So you take the Pistons shooting the lights out, you add in Jenkins' career-defining game, and then you throw in Brunson's terrible struggles, and what do you get? You get this, 80 points, a season low for the New York Knicks. So after a game this lopsided, a result this, well, shocking, the big question is, what happens now? Let's take a quick peek at what's ahead.
So here are the updated standings. The Pistons really solidify their top spot, moving to 38-13. The Knicks, on the other hand, they drop to 33-19. And in an Eastern Conference this tight, every single one of these games counts for so much. And so, we're left with this crazy situation. One single game ends a dominant winning streak and maybe, just maybe, launches a brand new career. The two biggest questions now are, what's next? Do the Pistons give Daniss Jenkins that full NBA contract after a performance like that? And maybe more importantly, how will a team like the Knicks respond to what was, without a doubt, their worst loss of the entire season?